So what I want to talk about today is the best, what I believe, in my humble opinion, to be the best beginner camera as far as what you get value-wise, and just an excellent all-around camera. It's not great at anything, but it's really good at a lot of things, which is, I think, what you're looking for when you're searching for a new camera and you're a beginner and you're not exactly sure what type of photography you're going to go into. Now, some people may think, yeah, I know I want to be a food photographer. I know I want to be a landscape photographer. I know I want to be a wildlife photographer. Well, I went into it 100% sure I wanted to be a landscape photographer. And then as life changes, as things happen, I'm not a professional photographer, but as things happen, I kind of changed that thought. And now I'm more of a nature photographer. So I like to do a little bit of everything. So wildlife, anything in nature. And so that in that happening, you kind of change your gear somewhat. You don't have to change it all, but I think in the beginning, you want to start off with something that is a good value. First, find out you can go down the rabbit hole and spend a ton of money on gear. The best thing to do is to really find out if you like photography in the first place, and maybe you will find that niche as you go. And it took me, now this was my first camera that I used when I really got into photography. So I had a camera before that, the Canon Rebels and things like that, but that was just for doing pictures of my kids and if we went on vacation, and I wasn't really thinking anything about photography at that time or specifically going out to take pictures. It was more the camera I just had because we were doing things and we wanted to capture those moments. So the first camera I got, and I pretty much got lucky, I think. I was trying to decide between this one and a Sony A6300, I think, which probably would have been an excellent camera too. But I think I lucked out, and I think I got, without knowing a whole lot, I think I ended up with probably, even after everything I've seen in photography, been through all the videos I've watched, probably I think the best camera that I could have got for value-wise. And that is the Olympus EM10 Mark II. This is an excellent all-around camera. It's not great at anything. It's not the best at anything, but it's really good at a lot of things. And value-wise, when I first bought this camera, I got it for, I was living overseas at the time. I was living in Qatar. So I had to have it shipped, which I later found out that there were no Olympus dealers even in the Middle East other than Bahrain, which is very difficult. So I couldn't just go, because the problem was they would ship the camera, but it got sent back in customs due to the battery. Now they did change the rule after that, and you were allowed to ship a battery, but it had to be put in the camera. Well, when they shipped the box, it didn't come in the camera, and they wouldn't do it for me. So I ended up having to have the battery shipped separately to Dubai, and then luckily my company is out of Dubai. When my boss came over, I had to bring the batteries. It was something else. But this is the camera. And I shot with this exclusively for about 2 years. And it just made me think of it because the other day, I just took it out. I hadn't had it out in a little while, and I just took it out for a shoot, and I forgot how good this camera really is. Now, the great thing about it is, look at that, the size of it. Now, it can be a little bit difficult on the grip, but I have fairly decent sized hands, and I've used it. Now, it's nowhere near as good a grip, obviously, as my G9. That's my favorite grip. The OM1's good, but my G9 is, as far as feel and grip in the hands, is best. But this is still a good camera. Put it on a tripod, do street photography. It's small, out of the way. You can slip it in your pocket. If you see this lens I have on here, which is the Lumix, what do I want to say? It's 14. The 14 millimeter, which is an underrated lens, very good lens. But look at this. It's like a pancake lens. You put that in your pocket and you can run around with it. So excellent camera, excellent lens. I also, my last time I went out, I put this on there, the 50-200. So this Panasonic lens, excellent lens. And it's big, but it didn't feel, I still felt comfortable holding this in my hands, and I'll show you some of the photos I got with that while I was out. And then I sometimes put on there the 25 millimeter 1.4. And right now this is on my GX1, which is another excellent camera I really like, but it's nowhere near this. It's a good camera, I like to take it out, but the viewfinder alone, there's no viewfinder. And if you buy the viewfinder for this one, it's $125 and it's really not that good. It's okay, but it's expensive. And when you're taking this out and it's sunny and it's hard to see the back of the screen, this is a good camera, but for my money, I'm taking this. Now, what do you get with that's the best part. So let's take a little look, close-up look at this camera. So you have your on-off switch here, your selector switch here, which you have all your movie mode, manual, shutter priority, aperture priority, program, and you even have an auto. You have arts, scenes. I don't usually use that at all. So you have your selector switch here. Okay, you have my settings on this. You have record button, function buttons, which you can change a little bit. Your selector dials for depending on what you look, but your aperture or your shutter speed. You have a menu button, info button, buttons here for selecting. So let's turn this on. So here's what you get. The nice thing about this camera, and why I say that, is you go to the menu here. So what do you got? So there's your my sets. Okay, you got time lapse, digital teleconverter. The time lapse, I believe you can go up to 999 pictures on that. Turn it on. You go set it up. Yeah, up to 999 pictures. I mean, pretty nice for such a small camera like this and at the price point. So then you got, so let's move out of there. Then you got your bracketing. So bracketing, HDR, multiple exposures, keystone compositions. You got all kinds of good stuff on here. Here's all your menu system. Now, the one drawback of this is the menu system is a little bit difficult. But you have Wi-Fi on here. Obviously, for any firmware updates, I think those are probably all about done on this camera. But then you have, so if you go into manual mode, you have your bulb mode. So once you go past 60, you have bulb mode, live time, live comp. And those are really cool. I mean, on a camera with this, at this price point, those are excellent. You have your super control menu, or whatever, your white balance. You can change your focus area, your pictures. You can take anti-shock, so you have silent shutter, electronic shutter, high-speed sequential, low-speed sequential. You have your timer, 2-second, 12-second, anti-shock. You can customize it. I mean, really, a lot of customization here. So then you have, like I said, bracketing, HDR, multiple exposures. There's just a lot of everything around here. Once you know, there he goes, jacking around with his. So your focus, full-time focus, bulb focusing. There is a lot here. Again, menu is a little bit difficult, but after a while you get used to it. I've taken a lot of great pictures. In fact, my favorite picture I've ever taken was with this camera. So I'm not doing a full-on review of this camera. I am just kind of going through. It does not have a mic input. It does have a mic, but it does not have the input. So you have to use an external source for that. It does have, I'm going to have to try this. I don't know if I've ever done a video on this camera. So video mode. You can take a picture in video mode or start it off, and you can go into your control panel here. And you can actually do this. If you hit settings, if you hit info, you can actually change this. This is slow or fast motion on this. Again, you can find this camera. Now, I bought this camera in 2017, I believe, 2017. And I got it for brand new for 450 bucks. And then it came with the 12 to 40. Was it 12 to 40 or 12 to 45? I haven't had a while. Kit lens. And then I bought the 40 to 150 kit lens, the one that's like $99. And I'm telling you, if you're going to start out in photography, for me, there's nothing better than that setup right there. So, yeah, there's a lot of value here for what you get and what you can do with it. A lot of value on this. So, I highly recommend this camera. I'm going to post some pictures, some for street photography, this is, to me, this no-brainer. I mean, you could look at this thing. You can walk around, you get the 45 1.8, which is an excellent Olympus lens. Stick that on here. Stick on here this 14 millimeter if you're going to go a little bit more wider. Stick on the 25, so you're getting a 50 millimeter 1.4. This is the 1.4. Excellent street photography lens. Get some low light, some decent low light with that. I forgot to mention, you get 5-axis stabilization on this. Excellent stabilization for a camera that the price point is right here. I think I looked up at MVP, eBay. I think you could probably find one if you did a little bit of looking. I mean, if you want to take the easy route and just go with MVP, is it MVP or MPB? You could probably get them. I think they have them on there for $329 in excellent condition. So you could probably do something like that and be just fine. All right, right now I'm going to put this real quickly on video mode and see what happens. There we go. So we're going to put our ISO on 1000 here. We're going to set our shutter speed up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I think that's going to be, we can go down to 1/25. So here we go. And then we're just going to, so now I'm recording on the Olympus EM10 Mark II. Now again, I am using the mic. I have the mic turned off on this one. So I'm using the mic on the G9 with my Kamika mic system, but this is the video on it. I don't even know actually what my video settings are. That probably would have been a good idea to take a look at. So let's stop recording there. Let's see what we're on. We are on superfine 30 frames per second, 1920 by 1080. Yeah, so that was on regular. You can put it, there are several other options. There's HD, SD, high speed 120 frames per second, 60p, 60 frames, 1920 superfine at 60 frames. And then I have it at 30. So again, pop record on that. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not sure what it's looking like. I'm not sure I've ever even used this camera for video. Maybe once or twice, but yeah, just want to, I don't know, how do I look? We'll have to see. Obviously, it's not going to be nearly as good as the G9. I could probably put those side by side and you can see, but overall, other than that, if you're more looking for photography than video, I wouldn't, like I said, it's good. It's good at video, good, but it's not great, not fantastic. So if you're looking for something just for video, this isn't the camera. But if you're looking for something for photography all around to give you a good start at a great entry price, so you can probably get all that package for, geez, I don't know, get the 40 to 150. I think you can get that for $99. And so you can get this for about $300. I think if you looked hard enough, you can get $300. So you're talking $400, and then for that kit lens, maybe a little over $100. So you're talking $500 for the whole system. You can have a range all the way from 12, or I'm sorry, I think it's 14 to 42. Sorry about that. 14. So you can have 14 to 150 They also do make a 14 to 150 lens for this. I had that lens, and it's weatherproof, although this body is not. But I used to use it on my EM5 Mark II, and that is weatherproof. So that lens is also an excellent lens. Then you only need one lens, and it's a good lens for a 14 to 150. And that lens probably run you, I just sold one for around $300. So right around there. So you get this body and that, $600. You got a pretty good deal. And you can have pretty good, get some pretty good photos with this. Like I said, I'm running a little long here, rambling a little bit, but I really just wanted to say how much I like this camera and how much I think it's a great investment for a beginner. I will now post some photos of a walk I went when I was in, when I first got to Washington, Des Moines Creek walk. I went on there, surprise, surprise. I ran into a nicer older lady that was doing some photography there on the herons. So I got some, I didn't expect to be doing that with this. I had the 50 to 200 on there, got some nice pictures with that, even doing birds in flight. And I was just using back button focus for that. So it could be a little bit difficult, but I thought the camera captured some great pictures with that. And I took some pictures of some flowers. And I'm also going to post some of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken with this camera since I used it exclusively for a couple of years. And then, but I'm not going to post my favorite one. My favorite picture I've ever taken in my life so far was with this camera in Qatar, which is in the Middle East, just north of Saudi Arabia there. It's a little peninsula, the Qatar Peninsula. Took my favorite picture of all time. It still is my favorite picture of all time, not just because of the camera, but because of the story that goes with it. But I used this camera and I used the 40 to 150, $99 kit lens. Awesome. Both of them. So yeah, I highly recommend this camera. If you're thinking about getting into photography, you're a beginner, or if you do street photography and you're just looking for something different or looking for something better, something smaller, something more compact. If you get this paired with that 25 millimeter 1.4 Panasonic, to me, it doesn't get much better than that. All right. Thanks for watching. Ran a little long this time. Next video, I will post about my favorite picture I've ever taken. And it was, like I said, with this camera right here. Thanks for watching. Take care.